Maya Thompson adjusted her laptop screen for the third time that morning, trying to find the perfect angle to catch the soft lighting streaming through her corner office window. At 28, she had everything she thought she wanted. The glass nameplate on her desk read, Senior Marketing Director, and the view from the 32nd floor of the downtown Chicago building showcased the city she loved. Her salary was more than her parents had ever dreamed of making, and her colleagues respected her innovative campaigns that had boosted their tech company's revenue by 40% in just 2 years. But as she stared at the email invitation glowing on her screen, something felt different. The message was from Global Innovations Incorporated, offering her the position of Chief Marketing Officer at their New York headquarters. This wasn't just any job offer. This was the dream job she had written about in her college essays, the position she had visualized during countless late nights studying for her MBA. The salary alone would triple her current income, and the opportunity to lead marketing strategies for a Fortune 500 company was exactly what she had been working toward her entire career. Maya's phone buzzed with a text from her best friend Jessica. Coffee in 20 minutes? I have news about the promotion. Maya smiled, remembering that Jessica had been waiting to hear about her application for assistant manager at the boutique where she worked. It would be good to celebrate together, Maya thought, though she hadn't yet decided how to share her own incredible news. The coffee shop on Michigan Avenue was busy with the usual morning crowd of professionals grabbing their caffeine fix before diving into another day of meetings and deadlines. Maya spotted Jessica immediately, her bright smile visible even from across the crowded space. Jessica had always been the optimistic one in their friendship, the person who saw potential in everyone and everything around her. Maya, over here. Jessica waved enthusiastically, already seated at their usual table by the window. As Maya approached, she noticed something different about her friend's expression. The smile was there, but it didn't quite reach her eyes. So, tell me about this news, Maya said, settling into her chair and wrapping her hands around the warm coffee cup Jessica had already ordered for her. Did you get the promotion? Jessica's smile faltered slightly. Well, that's actually what I wanted to talk to you about. She took a deep breath, looking out the window at the busy street. I didn't get it. They gave it to someone with more retail experience, which I totally understand. But there's something else. Maya felt her stomach tighten. In all the years she had known Jessica, she had never seen her look so uncertain. Remember I told you about my neighbor, Mr. Patterson? The elderly man who lives alone in the apartment next to mine. Jessica continued, her voice growing softer. He's been having some serious health issues lately. His daughter lives in California and can't take care of him, and he doesn't have anyone else. Yesterday, he asked me if I knew anyone who might be able to help him with daily activities like grocery shopping, cooking, and getting to his doctor appointments. Maya nodded, though she wasn't sure where this conversation was heading. The thing is, Jessica said, twisting her coffee cup nervously, he offered to pay someone to be his caregiver. It's not a huge amount, but it would be steady income. And honestly, Maya, I've been thinking about it all night. I know it sounds crazy, but I feel like this might be exactly what I'm supposed to be doing right now. Wait, Maya said slowly. Are you thinking about becoming a caregiver instead of pursuing retail management? Jessica nodded, her eyes brightening slightly. I know it's not what anyone would expect. I mean, I studied business administration just like you did. But when I think about helping Mr. Patterson, it feels right in a way that retail never has. He's such a sweet man, Maya. He was a teacher for 40 years, and he has all these amazing stories. But he's so lonely, and he's scared about his health. I think I could really make a difference in his life. Maya stared at her friend, trying to process what she was hearing. Here she was, sitting on the biggest career opportunity of her life, while Jessica was considering walking away from traditional career advancement to care for an elderly stranger. But what about your future? Maya asked carefully. What about building a career, saving money, all the things we've talked about since college? I've been thinking about that too, Jessica replied. And honestly, I'm not sure traditional success is what I want anymore. I mean, look at you. You're incredibly successful. You have an amazing job. You're making great money. But when was the last time you felt genuinely excited about going to work? The question hit Maya harder than she expected. When was the last time she had felt excited about work? She loved the challenge, she appreciated the recognition, and she certainly enjoyed the financial security. But excited? That was harder to pinpoint. I love my job, Maya said, though even as she spoke the words, they felt automatic. I know you do, Jessica said gently, and you're amazing at it. I just mean that maybe there are different kinds of success, you know? Maybe sometimes the most important thing isn't climbing the ladder, but finding ways to make a real impact on someone's life. Maya's phone buzzed with another email notification. Without thinking, she glanced at the screen and saw another message from Global Innovations. This one marked urgent. Her heart raced as she realized they probably wanted a quick response to their offer. Everything okay? Jessica asked, noticing Maya's distraction. Yeah, it's just work stuff, Maya replied, sliding her phone back into her purse. For some reason, she found herself reluctant to share her news about the job offer. Something about Jessica's willingness to prioritize human connection over career advancement made Maya's own achievement feel somehow less significant. They finished their coffee while discussing Jessica's potential new role as a caregiver. Maya listened as her friend described Mr. Patterson's needs, his background as an educator, and his current struggles with mobility and isolation. Despite her initial skepticism, Maya found herself impressed by Jessica's thoughtful approach to the decision. It wasn't impulsive or naive. Jessica had clearly considered the practical and emotional aspects of taking on such a responsibility. I'm going to meet with him and his daughter tomorrow, Jessica said as they prepared to leave. She's flying in from California to help set up some kind of care arrangement. I'm nervous, but I really think this could be good for all of us. As they walked back toward their respective offices, Maya couldn't shake the feeling that something fundamental had shifted in her understanding of success and fulfillment. Jessica's willingness to take an unconventional path in order to help someone in need challenged everything Maya thought she knew about making smart career decisions. Back in her office, Maya stared at the Global Innovations email for nearly an hour before opening it. The message was brief, but clear. They needed her decision within 48 hours. The opportunity wouldn't wait, and they had other qualified candidates ready to step in if she declined. Maya spent the rest of the day going through the motions of her regular responsibilities, but her mind kept drifting to her conversation with Jessica. She thought about Mr. Patterson, alone in his apartment, worried about his health and his future. She thought about Jessica, willing to set aside conventional career expectations in order to provide comfort and assistance to someone who needed it. That evening, Maya sat in her downtown apartment, looking out at the city lights and trying to make sense of her conflicted feelings. On paper, the decision should be simple. The New York position offered everything she had worked toward: prestige, financial security, professional recognition, and the chance to influence marketing strategies on a national scale. Turning it down would be career suicide, or at least a significant step backward. But she couldn't stop thinking about the look in Jessica's eyes when she talked about helping Mr. Patterson. There had been something there that Maya hadn't seen in a long time, something that transcended the usual calculations of salary and benefits and advancement opportunities. It was purpose, plain and simple. Maya realized that she hadn't felt that sense of purpose in her own work for months, maybe longer. She was good at her job, very good, but was she making a difference that mattered? Were her marketing campaigns truly improving anyone's life, or were they just generating more revenue for people who already had more than enough? She opened her laptop and began researching caregiving, not because she was considering a career change, but because she wanted to understand what Jessica was getting into. What she found surprised her. Professional caregiving required patience, empathy, physical stamina, and strong communication skills. It meant being responsible for someone's daily comfort, safety, and emotional well-being. The work was challenging, often difficult, and rarely glamorous. It was also, Maya realized as she read testimonials from professional caregivers, deeply meaningful. Story after story described the relationships that developed between caregivers and their clients, the small victories that came from helping someone maintain their independence, and the profound satisfaction that came from providing comfort during difficult times. Maya's phone rang, interrupting her research. It was her mother, calling for their weekly check-in. "How's my successful daughter doing?" her mother asked warmly. "I'm good, Mom," Maya replied, though she wasn't sure that was entirely true anymore. I was just telling Mrs. Rodriguez next door about your promotion last year. She's so impressed with how well you're doing. Her grandson is studying business administration too, and I told her he should follow your example." Maya smiled despite her conflicted feelings. Her parents had sacrificed a lot to help her get through college and graduate school, and they were incredibly proud of her achievements. How could she explain that she was suddenly questioning whether those achievements were what really mattered? "Mom, can I ask you something?" Maya said impulsively. "Of course, sweetheart. When you were my age, did you ever wonder if you were on the right path? Like, even when things were going well?" There was a pause on the other end of the line. "That's an interesting question, Maya. Can I ask what brought it up?" Maya found herself describing her conversation with Jessica, though she left out the details about her own job offer. As she spoke, she could hear her mother listening carefully, not interrupting or offering immediate advice. The next morning, Maya arrived at her office earlier than usual, hoping to clear her mind by diving into familiar work routines. But concentration proved impossible. Every email she opened, every meeting she attended, felt like she was going through the motions while her real attention remained focused on the decision waiting for her response. At lunchtime, Maya found herself walking past the coffee shop where she and Jessica had met the day before. On impulse, she called her friend. "How did the meeting with Mr. Patterson and his daughter go?" Maya asked when Jessica answered. "Maya, I'm so glad you called. It went really well, actually better than I expected." Jessica's voice was filled with the kind of enthusiasm Maya hadn't heard from her in months. "His daughter, Linda, is wonderful. She's been feeling so guilty about not being able to take care of her father herself, but she has 2 young kids and a demanding job in San Francisco." When I explained that I was interested in helping, she almost started crying with relief. "And Mr. Patterson? He's amazing, Maya. Really sharp, funny, and incredibly kind. He showed me his photo albums from his teaching days, and he has such wonderful stories about his students. But I can see how much his health issues are worrying him. He's diabetic, and he has some mobility problems that make it hard for him to grocery shop or clean his apartment properly." Maya listened as Jessica described the arrangement they had worked out. Jessica would visit Mr. Patterson every morning to help with breakfast and any morning medications, return in the evening to assist with dinner and ensure he was settled safely for the night, and be available during the day for errands, doctor appointments, or emergencies. "The pay isn't much," Jessica admitted, "but it's enough to cover my basic expenses, and Linda is also helping with some additional costs. Plus, Mr. Patterson insists on paying for all the groceries when I shop for him, so that actually saves me money on my own food budget." "Are you nervous about the responsibility?" Maya asked. "Honestly, a little, but mostly I'm excited. Linda is flying back to California tomorrow, but she's left me with detailed information about his medications, his doctor's contact information, and emergency procedures. And Mr. Patterson and I are going to have dinner together tonight, so we can talk about his routine and preferences." As Jessica spoke, Maya found herself envying her friend's sense of purpose and clarity. While Maya was agonizing over a career decision that would primarily benefit herself, Jessica had found a way to use her skills and energy to genuinely improve someone else's life. "Jessica," Maya said impulsively, "what made you so sure this was the right choice?" "I don't know if I'm sure," Jessica replied honestly. "But when I think about waking up every morning knowing that I'm going to help someone who needs it, that feels right in a way that retail management never did. Even if this doesn't lead to some traditional career path, even if people think I'm crazy for walking away from conventional advancement, I think I'll be happier. And maybe that's what matters most." After they hung up, Maya returned to her office and, finally, opened the detailed information packet that Global Innovations had sent with their job offer. The position description was everything she had dreamed of: leading a team of 15 marketing professionals, developing strategies for product launches across multiple markets, working directly with the executive team on company direction and growth. The benefits package was equally impressive: comprehensive health insurance, for weeks of paid vacation, a generous retirement plan, and professional development opportunities that could set her up for even higher positions in the future. The salary was substantial enough that she could pay off her student loans within 2 years and start saving seriously for a house. But as Maya read through the detailed job requirements and expectations, something felt hollow about the whole thing. She would be working 60 to 70 hours per week, managing complex projects with tight deadlines, and constantly traveling to meet with clients and stakeholders across the country. The work itself, while challenging and well compensated, was fundamentally about convincing people to buy products they might not really need. Maya's afternoon was interrupted by a phone call from her supervisor, David, asking her to stop by his office. "Maya, I wanted to talk to you about the Henderson project," David said as she sat down across from his desk. "The client is thrilled with your campaign proposal, and they're specifically asking if you can personally oversee the implementation phase." "That's great news," Maya replied, though she found it difficult to muster much enthusiasm. "I thought you'd be more excited," David said, studying her face. "This is exactly the kind of high-profile project that opens doors to bigger opportunities. Actually, that reminds me. I heard through the grapevine that Global Innovations has been recruiting some of our senior staff. If they've approached you, I hope you know that we value you tremendously here, and we're prepared to discuss a significant promotion to keep you on the team." Maya felt her stomach clench. David was offering her exactly what she would have wanted to hear just a week ago, but now it felt like another weight added to an already complicated decision. "I appreciate that, David. I really do. Can I ask you something, though? Do you ever think about the impact of what we do here? I mean, the real impact on people's lives." David looked puzzled by the question. "Of course we have an impact. We help companies grow, we create effective marketing strategies, we contribute to economic development. Our work supports jobs and helps businesses succeed. But do we actually make people's lives better?" Maya pressed. "Or do we just convince them to buy things?" "Maya, I'm not sure where this is coming from, but marketing is a legitimate and important profession. We help connect consumers with products and services that meet their needs. There's nothing wrong with that." Maya nodded, realizing that David's perspective made perfect sense from a business standpoint. There was nothing wrong with marketing, and she had been good at it. But that didn't mean it was right for her, at least not anymore. That evening, Maya decided to visit Jessica and Mr. Patterson. She wanted to see for herself what Jessica had chosen, to understand the appeal of caring for someone who needed help. Mr. Patterson's apartment was on the third floor of an older building in a quiet neighborhood about 20 minutes from downtown. When Maya knocked on the door, it was opened by a tall, thin man with silver hair and kind eyes behind wire-rimmed glasses. "You must be Maya," he said warmly. "Jessica has told me so much about you. Please, come in." The apartment was small but comfortable, filled with bookshelves, framed photographs, and the kind of accumulated memories that come from decades of living in the same place. Jessica was in the kitchen, preparing what smelled like a delicious dinner. "Maya, I'm so glad you came," Jessica called out. "Perfect timing. We're just about to eat." Over dinner, Maya listened as Mr. Patterson shared stories from his 40 years of teaching high school English. He spoke with obvious love for his former students, many of whom still sent him holiday cards and updates about their lives. He had taught 3 generations of some families, watching children grow up to become parents and grandparents themselves. Teaching was never just about grammar and literature, Mr. Patterson explained. It was about helping young people discover their own voices, their own potential. "Some of my greatest successes were students who thought they couldn't write, who believed they had nothing important to say, and then found out they were wrong." "That must be incredibly rewarding," Maya said, and she meant it. It was. And now Jessica is helping me discover that this stage of life can be meaningful too, even with health challenges and limitations. I was starting to feel like a burden, like my useful days were behind me. But having someone who cares, who sees value in my stories and my experience, that changes everything. Maya watched the easy interaction between Jessica and Mr. Patterson as they discussed his medication schedule and planned the next day's activities. There was genuine affection and respect between them, something that had developed in just a few days of working together. "Mr. Patterson," Maya said carefully, "what would have happened if Jessica hadn't been available to help you?" His expression grew more serious. "Honestly, I think Linda would have had no choice but to move me to some kind of assisted living facility, probably near her in California. That might still happen eventually, but for now, I can stay in my own home, in my own neighborhood, with my own things around me. That means everything to me. As Maya walked back to her car that evening, she found herself thinking about the difference between her work and Jessica's new role. Maya spent her days creating campaigns designed to increase corporate profits, while Jessica was helping someone maintain their independence and dignity. Both were legitimate forms of work, but only one felt like it addressed fundamental human needs. The next morning, Maya woke up with unusual clarity about her decision. She called Global Innovations before she could second-guess herself. "This is Maya Thompson returning your call about the Chief Marketing Officer position," she said when she reached the hiring manager. "Ms. Thompson, wonderful to hear from you. I hope you're calling with good news." Maya took a deep breath. "Actually, I'm calling to respectfully decline your offer. The position is incredible, and I'm honored that you considered me, but I've decided to pursue a different direction." There was surprise in the hiring manager's voice. "I see. Well, we're certainly disappointed, but we appreciate you letting us know promptly. May I ask what opportunity you've decided to pursue instead?" Maya paused, realizing she didn't have a complete answer to that question yet. "I'm exploring some options in the nonprofit sector," she said, which wasn't entirely true, but felt like it might become true. After hanging up, Maya sat in her apartment, feeling simultaneously terrified and relieved. She had just turned down the biggest career opportunity of her life, and she had no concrete plan for what came next. But for the first time in months, she felt like she was moving towards something meaningful rather than just climbing an arbitrary ladder. Maya spent the rest of the morning researching nonprofit organizations in Chicago, particularly those focused on elder care and social services. She was surprised to discover how many organizations were working to address issues like social isolation, healthcare access, and aging in place. Even more surprising was how much many of these organizations needed skilled professionals who could help with marketing, fundraising, and program development. By lunchtime, Maya had identified 3 organizations whose missions genuinely excited her. None of them could offer anything close to the Global Innovation salary, but all of them were doing work that felt important and impactful. Maya called Jessica to share her news about declining the New York offer. "Maya, that's huge," Jessica said, and Maya could hear the concern in her friend's voice. "Are you sure you're making the right choice?" "I don't know if it's the right choice for everyone," Maya replied, "but I think it's the right choice for me. I realize that I want to use my skills to help people, not just to help companies sell more products." "What are you going to do?" "I'm not sure yet, but I'm looking into nonprofit work. There are organizations doing amazing things to help elderly people and other vulnerable populations, and they need people with business and marketing skills." As Maya described her research, she felt her excitement building. For the first time in years, she was genuinely enthusiastic about the possibility of going to work, about contributing to something larger than herself. That afternoon, Maya met with David to discuss her resignation from her current position. As expected, he was shocked and concerned about her decision to leave without another high-paying job lined up. "Maya, I understand the appeal of doing meaningful work, but you need to be practical too. You have student loans, you have financial responsibilities. You can't just walk away from a successful career on some idealistic whim." "I know it seems impractical," Maya replied, "but I've been successful by conventional standards for several years now, and I'm not happy. I want to try being successful by my own standards for a while." Maya agreed to give 4 weeks' notice, which would give her time to finish her current projects and help train someone to take over her responsibilities. It would also give her time to apply for positions with the nonprofit organizations she had identified. That evening, Maya joined Jessica and Mr. Patterson for dinner again. This time, she shared her news about declining the job offer and resigning from her current position. "That's a brave decision," Mr. Patterson said thoughtfully. "In my teaching career, I saw a lot of young people struggle with the question of what success really means. The ones who were happiest were usually the ones who found ways to align their work with their values." "I'm not sure I know what my values are yet," Maya admitted. "That's okay," Mr. Patterson replied. "Values aren't something you discover once, and then you're done. They evolve as you grow and change. The important thing is paying attention to what feels meaningful to you right now, and being willing to adjust course when something stops feeling right. As Maya drove home that night, she reflected on how much her life had changed in just a few days. A week ago, she had been focused entirely on climbing the corporate ladder, measuring success in terms of salary increases and title promotions. Now she was voluntarily stepping off that ladder to explore a completely different path. The change had started with Jessica's decision to help Mr. Patterson, but Maya realized it had been building for months without her fully acknowledging it. She had been going through the motions at work, achieving goals that no longer excited her, pursuing a version of success that had been defined by other people's expectations rather than her own desires. 2 weeks into her notice period, Maya received a call from Sarah Chun, the director of Community Care Partners, one of the nonprofit organizations she had applied to. Maya had been particularly interested in their program because they focused on helping elderly residents age in place by connecting them with support services and volunteer assistance. "Ms. Thompson, I was very impressed by your application," Sarah said during their phone conversation. "Your marketing and project management background could be exactly what we need to expand our outreach programs. Would you be available to come in for an interview this week?" Maya's heart raced with excitement and nervousness. "Absolutely. I'm very interested in learning more about your organization." They scheduled the interview for Thursday afternoon. Maya spent the next 2 days researching everything she could find about Community Care Partners, their programs, their funding sources, and their impact in the Chicago area. What she discovered only increased her enthusiasm for the opportunity. The organization had been founded 15 years earlier by a social worker who had seen too many elderly people forced into institutional care simply because they lacked basic support for daily activities. Their programs included meal delivery, transportation assistance, home safety evaluations, and a companion visitor program that matched volunteers with isolated seniors. On the day of her interview, Maya arrived at Community Care Partners' offices in a converted warehouse on the north side of the city. The space was bustling with activity. Volunteers were packing meal boxes, staff members were coordinating transportation schedules, and phones rang constantly with calls from seniors requesting assistance. Sarah Chun turned out to be a dynamic woman in her 50s who had left a career in corporate human resources to run the nonprofit. She walked Maya through the facility, explaining how their various programs worked and introducing her to staff members and volunteers. "The challenge we're facing," Sarah explained as they settled into her small office, "is that demand for our services is growing faster than our ability to reach potential clients and donors. We have waiting lists for most of our programs, and we know there are hundreds of seniors in the city who could benefit from our help, but don't know we exist." "What kind of outreach are you doing currently?" Maya asked. "Mostly word of mouth, some basic flyers at senior centers and doctors' offices, and a very simple website that a volunteer created for us several years ago. We've never had anyone with real marketing expertise to help us develop a comprehensive strategy." As Sarah described their current challenges, Maya felt her mind racing with possibilities. She could envision social media campaigns, partnerships with healthcare providers, community events, and targeted outreach to neighborhoods with high concentrations of elderly residents. "One of the things I'm most interested in," Maya said, "is measuring real impact, not just activity. How do you track whether your programs are actually improving people's lives?" Sarah's face lit up. "That's exactly the kind of thinking we need more of. We collect some basic data about how many people we serve and what services we provide, but we haven't been systematic about measuring outcomes like improved health, reduced isolation, or maintained independence." The interview lasted nearly 2 hours, with Maya and Sarah discussing everything from fundraising strategies to volunteer recruitment to program evaluation. By the time they finished, Maya felt more energized about the possibility of meaningful work than she had since college. "I have to be honest with you," Sarah said as they concluded. "We can't offer anything close to what you're probably making in corporate marketing. Our budget for this position is significantly lower than industry standards." "I understand," Maya replied. "Can you tell me what the salary range is?" When Sarah mentioned the figure, Maya felt a moment of shock. The position would pay less than half of her current salary, and barely a quarter of what Global Innovations had offered. But as she thought about the work itself, the impact she could have, and the alignment with values she was still discovering, the financial sacrifice felt manageable. I appreciate your honesty, Maya said. The salary is definitely a consideration, but it's not the only factor I'm weighing. The opportunity to use my skills for work that directly helps people is worth a lot to me. Sarah smiled. I hoped you'd say something like that. I have 2 more candidates to interview, but I'll be in touch by early next week with our decision. That evening, Maya met Jessica and Mr. Patterson for their weekly dinner together. Over the past 2 weeks, this had become a cherished routine for all 3 of them. Mr. Patterson had become like a grandfather figure to Maya, sharing stories and wisdom while also expressing genuine interest in her career transition. How did the interview go? Jessica asked as they sat down to eat. Maya described her visit to community care partners, her conversation with Sarah, and her growing excitement about the possibility of working there. It sounds like exactly the kind of work you've been looking for, Mr. Patterson said thoughtfully. But I imagine the salary adjustment will require some lifestyle changes. Definitely, Maya acknowledged. I'll need to find a smaller apartment, be more careful about spending, maybe get a roommate. But, honestly, when I think about the difference between helping companies sell more products and helping elderly people stay in their homes, the financial sacrifice feels worth it. You know, Mr. Patterson said, Jessica's decision to become my caregiver has taught me something important about the relationship between giver and receiver. I initially felt guilty about accepting help, like I was burdening her or taking advantage of her kindness. But I've come to realize that meaningful work often benefits the person doing it as much as the person receiving it. Maya looked at Jessica, who was nodding in agreement. What do you mean? Well, Jessica said, helping Mr. Patterson has given me a sense of purpose that I never found in retail work. I feel useful, appreciated, and like I'm making a real difference. In some ways, he's giving me as much as I'm giving him. Exactly, Mr. Patterson agreed. And I suspect that your work with community care partners, if you get the position, will be similar. You'll be helping seniors, but the work itself will also be helping you become the person you want to be. The conversation continued over dinner, touching on topics like the nature of meaningful work, the relationship between money and happiness, and the courage required to change direction in life. Maya found herself thinking about how much her perspective had shifted in such a short time. Just a month ago, her definition of success had been clear and simple: advancement, recognition, and financial gain. Now she was discovering that success could also mean alignment between her work and her values, the satisfaction of helping others, and the excitement of waking up eager to tackle the day's challenges. The following Monday, Maya received the call she had been hoping for. Sarah Chen offered her the position of Outreach and Development Coordinator with Community Care Partners. We were unanimous in our decision, Sarah said. Your combination of professional skills and genuine passion for our mission is exactly what we need. Are you still interested, despite the salary limitations we discussed? I'm very interested, Maya replied without hesitation. When would you like me to start? They agreed that Maya would begin her new role the Monday after she finished her current notice period. That gave her 2 weeks to wrap up her responsibilities at the marketing firm and prepare for a completely different kind of work environment. Maya's colleagues at the marketing firm were bewildered by her decision. Most of them couldn't understand why someone would voluntarily take such a significant pay cut to work for a small nonprofit. Even David, despite his attempts to be supportive, remained convinced that she was making a mistake. I just hope you know what you're doing, he said during one of their final conversations. The nonprofit sector is competitive too, and if this doesn't work out, it might be hard to get back into corporate marketing at your previous level. I understand the risks, Maya replied. But I also understand the risks of staying in work that doesn't fulfill me. I'd rather try something meaningful and fail than succeed at something that feels empty. During her final week at the marketing firm, Maya found herself observing her soon-to-be former workplace with new eyes. Her colleagues worked long hours on campaigns designed to boost sales for products ranging from luxury cars to fast food to expensive gadgets. The work was professionally challenging and financially rewarding, but Maya struggled to identify any real benefit to society. This wasn't meant as a criticism of her colleagues, who were talented and dedicated professionals. It was simply a recognition that this particular type of work no longer aligned with what Maya needed from her career. Maya's last day at the firm was marked by a goodbye lunch with her team and a generous farewell gift from David and the other senior staff. Despite their puzzlement about her career change, they clearly respected her contributions and wished her well. "Stay in touch," David said as she packed up her office. "And remember, there's always a place for you here if you change your mind." Maya appreciated the sentiment, but she felt certain that she wouldn't be changing her mind. The prospect of starting fresh at Community Care Partners filled her with an energy and anticipation that she hadn't felt about work in years. The weekend before her new job began, Maya moved from her downtown apartment to a smaller place in a neighborhood closer to Community Care Partners' offices. The new apartment was about half the size of her previous one and lacked the luxury amenities she had grown accustomed to. But it was comfortable, affordable, and would significantly reduce her commute. Jessica helped with the move, and Mr. Patterson insisted on providing lunch for the volunteers who assisted with the heavy lifting. As they ate sandwiches in Maya's new living room, surrounded by unpacked boxes, Maya reflected on how much had changed since that conversation in the coffee shop just a month earlier. "Are you nervous about starting tomorrow?" Jessica asked. "A little," Maya admitted, "but mostly excited. I keep thinking about all the people Community Care Partners could be helping if they had better outreach and more resources. I can't wait to get started on developing new strategies." "I think you're going to love it," Mr. Patterson said, "and I think you're going to be very good at it. You have the professional skills they need, but you also have something else that's just as important." "What's that?" "You understand why the work matters." Not everyone can translate. Maya's first 3 months at Community Care Partners exceeded even her optimistic expectations. Working with Sarah Chun and the rest of the team, she had developed a comprehensive outreach strategy that was already showing promising results. The organization's new social media presence had tripled their online engagement. Partnerships with local healthcare providers had generated dozens of new referrals, and a community event series she had organized was raising both awareness and funds. But the real satisfaction came from seeing the direct impact of their expanded reach. Every week brought stories of seniors who had discovered Community Care Partners services just when they needed them most. There was Mrs. Rodriguez, an 82-year-old woman who had been struggling to grocery shop after a fall, now receiving regular meal delivery and companionship visits. There was Mr. Kim, a retired engineer who had become dangerously isolated after his wife's death, now participating in their social activities program, and even volunteering to help with their website. Maya's favorite part of the job was the monthly home visits she made with other staff members to check on their clients and assess their needs. These visits reminded her why she had made the career change in the first place. Unlike her previous work, where success was measured in abstract metrics like click-through rates and conversion percentages, here she could see the real faces and real lives that were improved by their efforts. On a crisp October morning, Maya was preparing for one of these home visits when Sarah knocked on her office door. "Maya, do you have a few minutes? I have something exciting to share with you." Maya looked up from her notes. "Of course. What's going on?" Sarah sat down with a smile that Maya had learned to associate with particularly good news. "I just got off the phone with the Hartwell Foundation. They want to meet with us next week about a potential grant." Maya felt her pulse quicken. The Hartwell Foundation was one of the largest charitable foundations in the Midwest, known for supporting innovative programs that addressed critical social needs. A grant from them could transform Community Care Partners' ability to serve the community. "What kind of grant are they considering?" Maya asked. "It's for their Innovation in Aging Services initiative. They're looking to fund organizations that are developing new approaches to helping seniors age in place. Based on the materials you helped prepare and the outreach work you've been doing, they're interested in supporting a significant expansion of our programs." Maya tried to contain her excitement. "How significant are we talking about?" "If we get it, we're talking about a 3-year grant for $200,000 per year. It would allow us to hire additional staff, expand our service area, and develop some of the new programs we've been dreaming about." The figure took Maya's breath away. $600,000 over 3 years would more than double Community Care Partners' annual budget. They could reach hundreds of additional seniors, develop innovative new services, and potentially become a model for similar organizations in other cities. "What do we need to do to prepare for the meeting?" Maya asked, her mind already racing through possibilities. "That's where I'm hoping you can take the lead," Sarah replied. "They want a detailed presentation about our current impact, our expansion plans, and how we'd use the grant funding. Given your background and the work you've already done on our strategic planning, I think you're the perfect person to develop this proposal." Maya felt a surge of the same excitement she had experienced during her job interview, but magnified tenfold. This was exactly the kind of opportunity she had hoped for when she left corporate marketing. The chance to use her professional skills to make a real difference in people's lives. "I'd be honored to work on this," Maya said. "When is the meeting?" "Next Tuesday." "I know that's not much time, but they had a last-minute opening in their schedule, and I didn't want to wait until their next available date in December." Maya spent the rest of the week immersed in preparing for the Hartwell Foundation meeting. She analyzed data about their current programs, researched best practices from similar organizations around the country, and developed detailed projections for how they would use the grant funding to expand their impact. The work reminded her of the strategic planning she had done in corporate marketing, but with a crucial difference. Instead of trying to convince people to buy products, she was trying to convince funders to invest in human welfare. Instead of focusing on profit margins and market share, she was documenting reduced hospital readmissions, decreased social isolation, and improved quality of life for vulnerable seniors. During one of her evening work sessions, Maya received a text from Jessica asking if she wanted to join her and Mr. Patterson for dinner. Maya had been so focused on the grant proposal that she had missed their usual weekly meal together. "I'd love to, but I'm swamped with this grant proposal," Maya texted back. Rain check. An hour later, there was a knock on Maya's apartment door. She opened it to find Jessica and Mr. Patterson standing in the hallway, carrying containers of takeout food. "If you can't come to dinner, dinner comes to you," Jessica announced cheerfully. Maya laughed and invited them in, grateful for the interruption. As they ate together in her small living room, she described the grant opportunity and the pressure she felt to create a compelling proposal. "It sounds like this could be a game changer for your organization," Mr. Patterson observed. "It really could be," Maya agreed. "But I'm nervous about the presentation. This is the biggest opportunity Community Care Partners has ever had, and I don't want to mess it up." "What are you most worried about?" Jessica asked. Maya thought for a moment. "I guess I'm worried that I don't have enough experience in the nonprofit world to know what funders are really looking for. In corporate marketing, I understood the audience and what motivated them. With foundation grants, I feel like I'm still learning the language." Mr. Patterson smiled. "You know, in my teaching career, I learned that the most persuasive presentations weren't necessarily the most polished ones. They were the ones that came from genuine passion and clear understanding of the subject matter. You have both of those things." "He's right," Jessica added. "When you talk about Community Care Partners and the work you're doing, your whole face lights up. That enthusiasm is going to come through in your presentation. Plus," Mr. Patterson continued, "you have something that many grant writers don't have: direct experience with the kind of impact you're describing. You've seen firsthand how these programs change people's lives. That's going to make your proposal much more compelling than dry statistics and abstract program descriptions." Maya felt some of her anxiety begin to ease. Mr. Patterson was right. She did understand the impact of Community Care Partners' work in a way that went beyond professional knowledge. She had seen Mrs. Chin's relief when transportation services allowed her to attend her grandson's graduation. She had witnessed Mr. Foster's transformation from isolation to engagement through the Companion Visitor Program. These weren't just data points. They were human stories that illustrated why the work mattered. The next few days flew by as Maya refined her presentation, incorporating specific examples and client stories alongside the statistical data and program descriptions. Sarah reviewed her work and provided valuable feedback, particularly about foundation expectations and nonprofit sector norms. "This is excellent," Sarah said after reading through Maya's draft proposal. "You've managed to balance professional credibility with genuine passion, and you've made a clear case for both our current impact and our potential for growth." The morning of the Hartwell Foundation meeting, Maya woke up earlier than usual and spent extra time choosing her outfit and reviewing her notes. She wanted to strike the right balance between professional competence and nonprofit authenticity. The Hartwell Foundation offices were located in a beautifully renovated building downtown, with conference rooms that managed to feel both impressive and welcoming. Maya and Sarah were greeted by Dr. Elizabeth Morrison, the Foundation's Program Director for Aging Services, and two other staff members who would be evaluating their proposal. "Thank you for coming in on short notice," Dr. Morrison said as they settled around the conference table. "We've been following Community Care Partners' work for some time, and we're impressed by your recent growth and innovation." Maya felt her confidence grow as she began her presentation. She had organized it around three key themes: demonstrated impact, innovative approach, and scalable model. For each theme, she provided specific examples, quantitative data, and clear connections to the Foundation's stated priorities. When she described Mrs. Rodriguez's story, how Community Care Partners' meal delivery service had not only improved her nutrition, but also provided daily social contact that reduced her depression, Maya saw the Foundation staff members taking detailed notes and exchanging meaningful glances. "The beauty of aging-in-place programs," Maya explained, "is that they address multiple needs simultaneously. When we help someone like Mrs. Rodriguez stay in her own home, we're not just providing practical assistance. We're preserving her independence, maintaining her connection to her community, and often preventing more expensive interventions down the road." Dr. Morrison nodded approvingly. "That holistic approach is exactly what we're looking for. Can you tell us more about how you measure those broader outcomes?" Maya was ready for this question. She described the evaluation tools Community Care Partners had recently implemented, including regular check-ins with clients about their physical health, mental well-being, and social connections. She also explained their partnerships with local healthcare providers to track metrics like hospital readmissions and emergency room visits. "We're finding that clients who participate in our programs for 6 months or more show significant improvements in self-reported quality of life, and preliminary data suggests they also have fewer crisis health episodes," Maya reported. The presentation continued for nearly an hour, with the Foundation staff asking thoughtful questions about everything from volunteer recruitment to program sustainability to plans for expansion. Maya felt energized by their engagement and their obvious understanding of the challenges facing aging services organizations. "One final question," Dr. Morrison said as they wrapped up. "If you received this grant, what would success look like 3 years from now?" Maya had prepared for this question, but she answered from the heart as well as from her notes. 3 years from now, I'd want Community Care Partners to be serving twice as many seniors as we do today, but I'd also want each of those seniors to be receiving more comprehensive, coordinated support. Success would mean that we've become a model that other communities can replicate, and that we've contributed to a broader shift toward aging in place as a realistic option for seniors regardless of their income level. And, personally, Maya continued, success would mean that I've been able to use my professional skills to make a meaningful difference in people's lives. A few months ago, I was working in corporate marketing, focused on helping companies increase their profits. Now I'm working to help seniors maintain their independence and dignity. That transition has been incredibly fulfilling, and I hope the grant would allow me to deepen and expand that impact. Dr. Morrison smiled. "Thank you both for an excellent presentation. We'll be reviewing all the proposals over the next 2 weeks, and we'll have a decision by the end of the month." As Maya and Sarah left the Foundation offices, both felt cautiously optimistic about their chances. "That went really well," Sarah said as they walked back to their car. "Your presentation was professional, passionate, and persuasive. I think we gave ourselves the best possible chance." Maya agreed, but she also tried to prepare herself for the possibility of disappointment. Grant funding was highly competitive, and even excellent proposals were often rejected due to limited resources or strategic priorities. The next 2 weeks felt longer than the previous 3 months combined. Maya threw herself into her regular work, but she found it difficult to concentrate fully when the grant decision could transform everything Community Care Partners was able to accomplish. During this waiting period, Maya received an unexpected phone call from David, her former supervisor at the marketing firm. "Maya, I hope you don't mind me reaching out," David said. "I have a proposition that I think you'll find interesting." Maya was curious despite herself. "What kind of proposition?" We've landed a new client, a large healthcare system that's looking to develop marketing strategies around their aging services programs. When I saw the project description, I immediately thought of you. They need someone who understands both marketing and elder care, which is a pretty unique combination. David went on to describe a consulting opportunity that would pay more in 3 months than Maya's current annual salary, working with a healthcare corporation to develop campaigns promoting their assisted living facilities and home health services. It would be a way for you to use your nonprofit experience while getting back to the kind of compensation you deserve, David explained. And who knows? If it goes well, it could lead to a permanent position with the healthcare system. Maya listened politely, but she felt no temptation to accept the offer. The work David described would put her back in the position of trying to convince people to buy services, rather than working to ensure that those who needed services could access them. I appreciate you thinking of me, David, but I'm very happy where I am, Maya replied. The work I'm doing now aligns with my values in a way that makes it worth more to me than just the financial compensation. Are you sure? This is a lot of money, Maya. Enough to pay off your student loans and start building serious wealth. I'm sure, Maya said firmly. But thank you for the offer. After hanging up, Maya reflected on how much her priorities had changed. 6 months ago, David's offer would have been impossible to refuse. Now, it felt like a step backward rather than forward. The call from the Hartwell Foundation finally came on a Thursday afternoon in late October. Sarah answered the phone in her office, with Maya waiting anxiously nearby. Dr. Morrison, thank you for calling, Sarah said, her expression revealing nothing about the content of the conversation. The celebration dinner that evening included not just Maya and Sarah, but also Jessica, Mr. Patterson, and several other community care partners, staff members, and volunteers. They gathered at a small Italian restaurant near the office, where the conversation flowed as freely as the congratulations. I keep thinking about how this all started, Maya said, raising her glass for what felt like the 10th toast of the evening. Jessica, if you hadn't decided to help Mr. Patterson, I never would have questioned my own career path. I certainly never would have ended up at Community Care Partners, and we wouldn't be celebrating this grant tonight. That's a beautiful way to look at it, Mr. Patterson replied. But I think you're giving us too much credit. The seeds of change were already in you, Maya. Jessica's decision and our friendship might have helped you recognize what you really wanted, but the courage to pursue it came from you. As the evening wound down, Sarah pulled Maya aside for a private conversation. I want to talk to you about what this grant means for your role at Community Care Partners, Sarah said. With this expansion, we're going to need a more senior position to oversee all our outreach, development, and strategic planning activities. I'd like to offer you the title of Associate Director, with a significant increase in both responsibility and compensation. Maya felt a surge of excitement. The new position would still pay considerably less than her old corporate job, but it would be a substantial improvement over her current nonprofit salary. More importantly, it would give her the authority and resources to implement the expansion plan she had been developing. I'm very interested, Maya said. Can you tell me more about what the role would involve? Sarah outlined a position that would essentially make Maya the second-in-command at Community Care Partners, responsible for strategic planning, grant writing, community outreach, and program evaluation. It was exactly the kind of leadership opportunity Maya had hoped to grow into over time. The board will need to approve the new position, Sarah continued, but I can't imagine they'll object, given your role in securing this grant. I'm hoping we can make the transition official by the new year. Maya accepted the offer enthusiastically, feeling grateful for the recognition of her contributions and excited about the expanded opportunities to make an impact. Over the following weeks, Maya threw herself into planning the grant-funded expansion. Working with Sarah and the rest of the team, she developed timelines for hiring new staff, launching additional programs, and reaching underserved communities throughout the Chicago area. The expansion plan was ambitious but carefully structured. They would add 2 new full-time outreach coordinators, expand their meal delivery program to serve 3 additional neighborhoods, launch a new technology training program to help seniors stay connected with family and access online resources, and develop partnerships with local hospitals to provide transitional support for seniors being discharged home after medical procedures. Maya's favorite new initiative was a program that would train seniors to become peer mentors for other seniors who were struggling with isolation or health challenges. The idea had come from watching Mr. Patterson's interactions with other community care partners' clients. His combination of life experience, empathy, and practical wisdom made him a natural counselor and supporter for people facing similar challenges. The beauty of peer mentoring, Maya explained to potential funders and partners, is that it addresses multiple needs simultaneously. The mentors feel valued and useful, while the people being mentored receive support from someone who truly understands their experiences. As winter turned to spring, the expansion programs began launching one by one. Maya found herself busier than she had ever been, but also more fulfilled. She was regularly working 50-hour weeks, but unlike her corporate days, the long hours felt energizing rather than draining. The technology training program proved especially popular, with seniors learning to video call their grandchildren, order groceries online, and even participate in virtual support groups during the ongoing pandemic restrictions. Maya loved watching 70- and 80-year-olds discover that they could master new technologies that had initially seemed intimidating or impossible. You know what I realized today? Maya told Jessica during one of their regular lunch meetings. I'm working longer hours and making less money than I did in corporate marketing, but I haven't had a single Sunday night dread feeling since I started this job. Sunday night dread? Jessica asked. You know, that sinking feeling you get on Sunday evenings when you realize you have to go back to work on Monday. I used to get it every week in my old job, even though I was successful and well paid. Now I actually look forward to Monday mornings. Jessica smiled. I know exactly what you mean. Taking care of Mr. Patterson and seeing how much it helps him makes every day feel worthwhile. Their conversation was interrupted by Maya's phone ringing. It was Sarah, calling with news that would change everything once again. Maya, I need to share something important with you, Sarah said. I just got a call from the National Aging Coalition. They've been following our work with the Hartwell Foundation grant, and they want to offer me a position as their new executive director. Maya felt her stomach drop. Sarah had been not just her boss, but also her mentor and collaborator. The thought of community care partners without Sarah's leadership was difficult to imagine. That's a tremendous opportunity, Maya managed to say. Congratulations. Thank you. But here's the thing, Sarah continued. I haven't accepted yet, because I wanted to talk to you first. The board and I have discussed this extensively, and we all agree that you're ready to take over as executive director of community care partners. Maya was speechless. She had been expecting to grow into increasing responsibility over several years, not to suddenly be offered the top leadership position of the organization. Sarah, I'm honored, but are you sure I'm ready for that level of responsibility? I've only been working in the nonprofit sector for 8 months. Maya, in those 8 months, you've secured our largest grant ever, developed our most successful outreach programs, and demonstrated exactly the kind of strategic thinking and passionate leadership the organization needs. Your corporate background actually gives you skills that many nonprofit executives lack, and your commitment to our mission is absolutely clear. That evening, Maya called her parents to discuss the unexpected opportunity. She hadn't spoken with them much about the details of her career change, partly because she had been focused on proving to herself that she had made the right choice. Mom, Dad, I need your advice about something, Maya began, before describing the offer to lead community care partners. Honey, that's incredible, her mother said. A year ago, you were a marketing director. Now you're being offered the chance to run an entire organization dedicated to helping people. That's not just career advancement. That's finding your calling. But, am I ready for this level of responsibility? Maya asked. What if I make mistakes that hurt the organization or the people we serve? Her father, who had spent 30 years managing a small manufacturing company, offered his perspective. Maya, leadership isn't about being perfect. It's about caring enough to work hard, smart enough to learn from your mistakes, and wise enough to surround yourself with good people. From everything you've told us, you have all of those qualities. Maya spent the weekend thinking carefully about the decision. Leading community care partners would mean being responsible for an annual budget, 20 staff members, and dozens of volunteers, programs serving hundreds of seniors, and relationships with funders, partners, and community stakeholders throughout the city. It would also mean the opportunity to shape the organization's future, expand their impact, and potentially influence how other communities approached aging services. The challenge excited her as much as it intimidated her. On Monday morning, Maya met with the Community Care Partners Board of Directors to discuss the executive director position. The meeting included Mr. Patterson, who had been serving as a volunteer board member since Maya had recommended him several months earlier. "Maya," said Dr. Janet Williams, the board chairperson, "we've watched your work over the past year, and we believe you're exactly what Community Care Partners needs for its next phase of growth. But this is ultimately your decision. Are you ready to take on this responsibility?" Maya looked around the table at the board members, people who had committed their time and expertise to supporting the organization's mission. She thought about the seniors who were currently being served by Community Care Partners programs, and the many more who could be helped if the organization continued to grow and improve. "I'm ready," Maya said. "I'm excited about the challenge, and I'm committed to building on the strong foundation that Sarah has created." The board voted unanimously to offer Maya the position, with a start date that would allow for a smooth transition as Sarah prepared for her new role with the National Aging Coalition. That evening, Maya, Jessica, and Mr. Patterson celebrated at their favorite restaurant. As they reflected on the year's journey, Maya marveled at how much had changed since that first conversation about Jessica's decision to become a caregiver. "You know what I keep thinking about?" Maya said. "A year ago, I thought success meant climbing someone else's ladder as quickly as possible. Now I realize that real success is about finding your own ladder and helping other people climb it too." "I love that," Jessica said. "And the beautiful thing is that your success creates opportunities for so many other people. The seniors who will be served by Community Care Partners, the staff members who will have meaningful work, the families who won't have to worry about their elderly relatives being alone and struggling." Mr. Patterson raised his glass. To Maya, who learned that sometimes the most rewarding path is the one you create yourself. 6 months later, Maya stood before a crowd of 300 people at Community Care Partners' annual fundraising gala. As the new executive director, she was presenting the organization's accomplishments over the past year and outlining their vision for the future. "When I left corporate marketing to join Community Care Partners," Maya said to the audience, "people thought I was crazy to give up a lucrative career to work for a small nonprofit. What I discovered was that meaningful work is its own form of wealth. The satisfaction of helping seniors maintain their independence, the joy of seeing isolated individuals reconnect with their communities, the pride of knowing that your daily efforts make a real difference in people's lives. These experiences are more valuable than any salary." The audience included many of the seniors who had been helped by Community Care Partners programs, along with their family members, volunteers, staff, donors, and community partners. Maya could see Mrs. Rodriguez in the front row, accompanied by her daughter who had flown in from Arizona specifically for the event. Mr. Kim was there with several friends he had met through the social activities program. And, of course, Mr. Patterson was at a table near the front, beaming with pride. Maya concluded her remarks by announcing that Community Care Partners had just received notification of another major grant, this one from the federal government to develop their peer mentoring program as a model that could be replicated in other cities across the country. "This grant will allow us to share what we've learned about aging in place with communities nationwide," Maya explained. "It represents not just growth for our organization, but the potential to impact thousands of seniors who deserve the chance to remain in their own homes with dignity and support." As the evening wound down, Maya found herself standing with Jessica and Mr. Patterson, watching the volunteers clean up while guests said their final goodbyes. "Do you ever miss your old life?" Jessica asked. Maya considered the question seriously. "I miss some things about having more money," she said honestly. "But I don't miss the work itself, and I don't miss the person I was becoming in that environment. I was successful, but I wasn't fulfilled. Now I feel like I'm both. And the best part," Mr. Patterson added, "is that your fulfillment creates fulfillment for so many other people. That's the difference between success that only benefits yourself and success that ripples out to benefit an entire community." Maya nodded. thinking about all the people whose lives had been touched by the chain reaction that started with Jessica's decision to help an elderly neighbor. Jessica had found purpose in caregiving. Maya had discovered meaningful leadership. Mr. Patterson had gained not just care but also friendship and community engagement, and hundreds of other seniors had received support that allowed them to remain in their own homes. More than that, the organization was now positioned to influence aging services policies and programs far beyond Chicago. Maya's corporate skills, applied to nonprofit goals, had created opportunities that neither she nor Sarah could have imagined when Maya first walked into Community Care Partners 18 months earlier. As Maya drove home that night, she reflected on the unexpected reward she had received for giving up her dream job. She had traded a high-paying marketing position for meaningful work that used her skills to benefit vulnerable community members. In return, she had found professional fulfillment, personal growth, and leadership opportunities that exceeded anything she could have achieved in the corporate world. Maya had learned that sometimes the biggest risk is not taking a risk, that success can be measured in impact rather than income, and that the most rewarding career moves are often the ones that seem the most impractical at first glance. Her willingness to prioritize meaning over money had not only changed her own life, but had created ripple effects that would benefit her community for years to come. The young woman who had once defined success solely in terms of salary and title had become a leader whose success was measured in the independence maintained by elderly neighbors, the peace of mind provided to worried families, and the sense of purpose discovered by staff and volunteers who had found their own form of meaningful work. Maya's story had become proof that giving up a dream job for the right reasons could lead to discovering an even better dream that you never knew existed. Maya watched Sarah's face as she listened, trying to read any clues about the foundation's decision. After what felt like an eternity, Sarah's face broke into a wide smile. "That's wonderful news," Sarah said. "Thank you so much for believing in our work." Maya felt her heart racing as she waited for Sarah to finish the call and share the details. "We got it," Sarah said as soon as she hung up. "The full 3-year grant. $600,000 to expand our programs and develop new services." Maya felt tears of joy and relief welling up in her eyes. This grant would allow Community Care Partners to help hundreds of additional seniors, hire more staff, and potentially change the landscape of aging services in Chicago. "Dr. Morrison said your presentation was a major factor in their decision," Sarah continued. "She was particularly impressed by your combination of professional expertise and genuine commitment to the mission." As Maya processed the magnitude of this achievement, she thought about the journey that had led to this moment. It had begun with Jessica's decision to help Mr. Patterson, which had inspired Maya to reconsider her own priorities and career choices. That conversation in the coffee shop had set in motion a series of decisions that led to this grant, which would now benefit countless seniors throughout the city. Maya had learned that meaningful work could be just as professionally rewarding as lucrative work, and that success could be measured in impact rather than income. The grant from the Hartwell Foundation proved that her decision to leave corporate marketing had been not just personally fulfilling, but also professionally successful in ways she was still discovering. Professional competence into meaningful impact. "But I think you can." That evening, Maya spent time reviewing the materials Sarah had sent her about Community Care Partners' current programs, budget, and strategic goals. She made notes about potential improvements and new initiatives, but she also reminded herself to spend her first few weeks listening and learning before proposing major changes. As she prepared for bed in her new apartment, Maya felt a mixture of anticipation and gratitude. Anticipation for the new challenges and opportunities that awaited her, and gratitude for the friends who had helped her discover what really mattered to her. Maya's decision to leave corporate marketing had been inspired by Jessica's willingness to help Mr. Patterson, but it had also been driven by her own growing understanding of what she needed from work to feel fulfilled. Tomorrow would mark the beginning of a new chapter, one focused on service rather than sales, on helping rather than earning, on meaning rather than money. The financial sacrifice was real and significant. Maya would need to live more carefully, spend more thoughtfully, and plan more strategically for her future. But as she thought about the seniors who would benefit from improved outreach programs, the volunteers who would be better supported, and the families who would find help when they needed it most. Those sacrifices felt not just acceptable, but worthwhile. Maya had learned that success could be measured in different ways, and that sometimes the most important achievements couldn't be captured in salary figures or job titles. Tomorrow, she would begin discovering what success looked like when it was defined by impact rather than income, by service rather than status, and by the difference she could make in other people's lives rather than the advancement she could achieve in her own career. Maya spent the weekend updating her resume to highlight the skills that would transfer to nonprofit work: project management, strategic planning, team leadership, and communication. She also spent time researching the organization she was interested in, learning about their programs, their challenges, and their needs. By Sunday evening, Maya had completed applications to all 3 organizations. She had no idea whether any of them would be interested in hiring her, but she felt more hopeful and energized than she had in years. The decision to help Mr. Patterson had changed Jessica's life by giving her a sense of purpose and meaning that retail work had never provided. Maya hoped that her own decision to prioritize meaning over money would lead to similar fulfillment, even if the path forward remained uncertain. You've always been proud of your ambition and your success. But what we're most proud of is the kind person you are. Success means different things to different people, and sometimes it means different things to the same person at different times in their life. What do you mean? I mean that there's no rule that says you have to want the same things at 28 that you wanted at 22. People grow and change, and sometimes that means their definition of success grows and changes too. The question isn't whether you're successful by someone else's standards. The question is whether you're becoming the person you want to be. After they hung up, Maya sat in her quiet apartment for a long time, thinking about her mother's words. Who did she want to be? What kind of impact did she want to have on the world? These weren't questions she had seriously considered in years, not since she had been focused on achieving the goals she had set for herself in college. The global innovations offer represented everything she thought she wanted. But Jessica's decision to help Mr. Patterson represented something else entirely: the willingness to prioritize human need over personal advancement, to choose meaning over money, to find success in service rather than achievement. Maya wasn't ready to make any dramatic decisions about her own career, but she knew that something important had changed in her understanding of what made a life well lived. Tomorrow, she would need to decide about New York. But tonight, she found herself thinking about an elderly man she had never met, and a friend who was willing to give up conventional success in order to make sure he wasn't alone.